happy Saturday. I'm currently on the way to go meet my husband at Basbo's Pizza with our friend Kathy, who I haven't seen in like a year. And I decided to actually take a shower and do my hair. What do you think? And so I thought I'd get on here and vlog for a minute or two. I just did a booktube video. You guys, I'm so sick still. Look, it was interesting because I got sick at the same time that Joey Graceffa got sick. We didn't get each other sick, but wouldn't that have been cute if we had? But like I was reading this thing and he was like, I'm finally able to swallow like solid food today. And I was like, oh my God, like I feel so sick. Like I'm the same way. Like when am I ever gonna get better, you know? It's like endless. I mean, it really is. It's like I've been sick for so long. I'm so tired of it. I think it's been 2 weeks now and I've taken a round of antibiotics. Aleve kind of takes it away a little bit. You guys, there are 2 air balloons in the sky. I'm gonna show you. Oh, 3. You guys see? No, they're not aliens. I'm driving into Carmel, Indiana, which is like a suburb of Indianapolis. Do you guys see those? It is 76 degrees right now in Indianapolis on this beautiful Friday evening. See? 1, 2, 3. I'm sure there's more, but... And I am going to have a Popeye sandwich, which is spinach and cream cheese and cucumber dressing. I think I talked about that yesterday. And I'm gonna have a little salad too, because I'm really hungry. So, all right, you guys, I'll talk to you later. Hello. It is 1:53, and I have been hanging out with Tanya, and I was going to film my vlog, and I was like, oh my God, I like reached back, and I forgot my camera. So I had to come all the way home to get my camera. So, this vlog is probably not going to be really long. Not. I think not. I've had a really good night, other than my throat is still hurting me. It doesn't hurt as bad, but I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm not gonna stay out. I'm gonna do my vlog and then go home. I'm listening to a little bit of my book. I'm listening to Final Girls by Riley Sager. That's actually apparently a pseudonym for a famous author. And it's this book. I just came through here and it opened like right away. It's the pseudonym for this. Anyway, it's this book about girls, these girls that were like part of like a mass serial killing that took place. And they're like the final, like the last girl that survived. And so it's 3 final girls based on like they came up with the idea of final girls from like horror movies. And then there's this mystery that's occurring because somebody's come back and trying to kill these girls. But anyway, it's interesting. It's a good suspense thriller to read around Halloween. We went to dinner tonight with our friend and we had such a great time, and it's this like friend of ours that she's like my age, and we used to like go out with her all the time and like hang out, and we were actually talking about how like there was a period of time in Indianapolis when like Alex and I started our website. So Alex and I started this website in 2009, I think it was, and the website is still up. And it's called Rant, R-A-A-N-N-T, if you want to go check it out. And we do like, he interviews like DJs. He runs it now. I don't do anything with it. It's all like celebrity or like electronic dance music DJs. But when we started it, we used to do celebrity interviews, lots of actors, actresses, musicians and stuff, but lots of YouTubers actually. But when we started it, it was just like a local blog And we had decided that we were gonna like make celebrities out of just like people who go out in Indianapolis, like, you know, very much like page 6 of New York City, like Who's Who. We decided that we were gonna do that in Indianapolis. And in a weird kind of way we did. And so Kathy was like one of the people that we used to hang out with, and we used to do this thing every year on New Year's called the Sexy List. And I mean, literally, if you Google the Sexy List, our website comes up. And the first year that we started, we put on people that we like didn't know. Like, I look back and it was so kind of innocent and cute and very kind of pretentious and funny though. But we put on people there that like we wanted to know in Indianapolis. You know, those people that you would always see out in bars, I mean, sitting in VIP sections, and you'd like want to know who they were, and pseudo celebrities, you know. And so that was how we kind of came up with our first list. But like over that year, like we became like, those became our closest friends. And like there was like a 3 or 4 year period, 3 to 5 year period, I would say, where those were like our closest friends, and we went out every weekend, and, you know, football games, Colts games, go out late on the weekends, you know, every big huge party that was in Indianapolis, you know, and the Super Bowl was here, everything, like. And the year before the Super Bowl was here, we had done this Sexy List that I can't remember why, but it got some national attention. And DirecTV contacted us because they were throwing the DirecTV Super Bowl party with, like, it was like, you had a VIP invite only. Like, you couldn't even pay to go to this thing. And Katy Perry was, like, doing, like, a private show at it and stuff. And all these celebrities were there. And they called us, and they were like, you guys know, like, Who's Who in Indianapolis. We want, like, only the VIPs there. You know, like... So, like, we were basically able to be the ones that came up with that list, and it was very cool, and we got to go to it, and, so anyway, we had a really good time. That was how we met. Like, we didn't meet, but we stood right next to, Neil Patrick Harris and David Burkham. Is that his name? Whatever his husband's name is. And other celebrities, but we were talking about it tonight, because it's so funny, like, there was like a 3 to 5 year period where there was like 20 of us that like always, like, every weekend we're out together. We go to dinner, and then we would like go out. We were out till like 4 or 5 in the morning, and, you know, like out at pool parties, and it was a strange period, you know, and it was a fun period, and because it was weird. It wasn't like 20-year-old kids. Like, Alex was the youngest one by 10 years, probably. Everybody else, I mean, we're talking professional people that, like, owned businesses. And, I mean, it was fun. Like, we had a good time, you know, and a lot of us traveled together and stuff. And everybody has gone their separate ways. Nobody's really friends anymore. And, you know, husbands and wives have divorced. Alex and I are actually, this is kind of funny, we're like the longest remaining couple out of all of them. And, but we have dinner with her like every 6 months or a year. And she now, like, she met her boyfriend, and they live on like a farm, and he owns like a farm out in the middle of nowhere. And she brought us like homemade salsa and like tomato jam, and we had such a great time. Anyway, it was just, she was filling us all in on that, and she wants to get married and have her wedding like in this greenhouse, and she was showing us pictures of this greenhouse that was beautiful, and it was just so funny to sit there and, you know, she and I were talking, and she was like, well, Alex, you don't even really, like, go out and do much anymore. And he was like, no, he goes, you know, maybe once a week, once every other week. And she, like, looked at me, and I said, oh, I only go out if it's, like, something that I really want to be part of, you know, like every month, every 2 months or whatever. I go out and I do stuff with friends, but I don't really ever go out to clubs or anything anymore, you know? She's like, yeah, I don't either. And I said, I feel more settled now. Like, I feel so calm and peaceful. Like, there's not, like, an urgency, you know, to, like, be out and doing stuff. And she was like, I totally feel the same way as you. And There's like 2 or 3 of our friends that still go out like all the time. Like they're like my age or older, and they're like out like every weekend. And I'm like, how do you keep up with that? Like, just like that's so hard. I don't understand it. So, but we, you know, like when you have those dinners, those catch-up dinners, and you sit there for like 2 or 3 hours. So we did that, and then we came home. Alex watched a TV show. He has some work he has to do tomorrow, real early in the morning at like 7:30. So he went to bed at like 10:30, and I laid down for like an hour and a half, and I got up, I was gonna do a live stream, and I literally was like, I can't do a live stream. And I took some Aleve and had a cough drop, and now my throat feels much better. So Tanya texted me, and she was like, do you want to go get a fountain pop and then take me to the kennel? So I went and did that, and we drove around, told funny stories, and sometimes I miss that, you know? Sometimes I miss that, like, on a Saturday, like, picking out the perfect outfit and, you know, calling everybody and what are the plans and where are we meeting, and especially, like, in Indianapolis, like, on race day weekend, or, like, the, like, GP Moto, and, like, Indianapolis is a race car town, so, like, and, you know, I think we think of race cars a lot of times in, like, response to the fans of race cars, like the diehard, like, fans, you know, like NASCAR. But really, like, race car drivers are usually, like, European people that a lot of times that have, like, a shit ton of money. And they love to throw these extravagant parties. And so it was really fun back in the day to go to that stuff. I mean, I don't even drink, you know, but just to be around it. But at the same time, like, we were talking, and there was like towards the end of it for me, there was a lot of sadness. Like, it would make a great book, honestly, because there are some things that happened. There's reasons why that none of us hang out together anymore. Some very, like, tragic events kind of occurred. And, I mean, no deaths or anything like that, but there were some tragic things that happened. But anyway, at the end, it just was kind of sad to me. You know, I was telling them tonight, like, we were talking, and our friend was like, why do you think, like, we were talking about somebody, and she was like, oh, like, she just was always so into drugs. It was so sad. And I said, you know, I never really knew that until, like, the very end. And she was like, how could you not know that? And I said, you know, like, I think people treat me kind of like I'm an innocent child sometimes, like I'm a prude. Like, I don't know if you're like me, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, people don't tell me stuff. So, like, if people are going to the bathroom to do cocaine at a party or something, they're not going to tell me that, because they know that, like, A, I'm sober, B, I'm a traditionalist, and C, like, I live my life very much, like, trying to be the best version of myself. So if they feel like in any way that I'm going to judge them, they're not going to tell me something, right? And so, which is interesting to me, because I find myself to be, or I like to think of myself as not, like, in my personal life, like, if it was Alex and I just sitting there, I would probably be kind of judgmental, honestly. Maybe, you know, maybe even about cocaine, but, like, about other things, like swingers and all that kind of stuff, which, hey, have at what your gig is, okay? But I don't understand it for me, if that makes sense. So, like, when people are, like, swingers or taking girls home to have three-ways, it's like, that stuff, like, is so, like, it does not seem, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm just, like, I don't understand it. So people don't tell me that, right? So Alex and Alex is, like, not a gossip at all. So he would, like, not even tell me about this stuff. And then down the road, I would hear about so-and-so, and they'd say, oh, so-and-so, you know, did this, and they broke up. Well, why did they break up? Well, you know, because of her cocaine addiction. I'd be like, she has a cocaine addiction? Well, yes, Peter, how did you not know that? I'm like, what do you mean, how did I not know that? Well, and she was, you know, even though they were in love and they were going to get married, she was sleeping with this girl over here because they had brought her into a I'm like, what? Like, I mean, crazy town shit. And so then I kind of am like, I'd rather just not know. Like, if I'm gonna know somebody, I'd rather just not know. I don't need to know, you know, I don't need to know everybody's deep, dark secrets to be their friend. I just really don't. And sometimes, like, it makes it worse because it's like, okay, now I know this, what am I supposed to do with that information? So I don't know, maybe I'd rather stay kind of innocent and prudish sometimes, you know, like... I like to think of the world as going home to go to sleep next to your partner or with your pets and, you know, watching a TV show before you go to bed and having a late night snack and getting up and doing it all over the next day and, you know, just putting one foot in front of the next and being the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. I like that idea. I like the idea of, like, small town, you know, no matter where you live. You know, even if you live in New York City, you know, small town mind. That we treat our neighbors and we treat people the way that we would want to be treated, you know, and being positive and putting positivity out there in the world. Now, I mean, when I was in my active addiction, I didn't see that, so I understand that with other people that have addiction issues. But I guess I'm not just talking about addiction issues. I'm talking about, like, sex and, like, rampant cheating and lying and deceit and this is kind of what happened to me at the beginning of it and why I pulled myself out of it, all of it, completely. Because when I started seeing it, I started seeing it. Does that make sense? Like, everywhere with everybody. And I was like, this is too much for me. And in fact, we went to a white party. I don't know if you guys know what white parties are, but they're usually like the last party before Labor Day. We went to a white party. This was the last party, big party that I went to. I mean, I've gone to parties since, but of always going to parties, like on weekends and stuff. And we were there, and I was having a great time. I'll never forget, I was with my friend, Heather, who doesn't live here anymore, and she and I were talking, and this guy came up, and he was like, hey, we're gonna go back to our house, like, afterwards, you guys should come over, you know, you and Alex, and she was like, no, that's okay, like, we're gonna go home, blah, 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 whatever, we're gonna get some steak and shake or something, we're gonna go back to my house, don't worry about it, thank you. And I was like, well, Heather, we might wanna go, and she was like, no, she was like, we don't need to go. And he was like, yeah, and then, like, these girls came up, and they're like, oh, we would love to have, like, you guys come, and whatever, and Heather was like, no, she was like, thank you guys so much. And Heather's kind of like a don't fuck with me kind of person. And she was like, no, thank you. She was like, we're good. You know, like, maybe some other time, but not, you know, like, you know, we've got, Peter and Alex and I have plans tonight. We came together, we're all leaving together and whatever. And I was like, what is going on? And so anyway, they were kind of like really pushy about it. And Heather got shitty with them and was like, okay, we're not fucking coming. So it's time for us to fucking go. We're leaving. And so we went and got Alex, and I got in the car, and, oh, no, we went to, like, a different part of this patio where we were sitting, and I go, Heather, what is going on? And she was like, okay, when we go to this party, this is what's gonna go on, this is what this person's about, he's left here 3 times tonight because he's, you know, does these things, and you don't know this because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but everybody else does, and blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, all these people that we know are gonna be at the party, and she's like, yes, and they engage in the same things, and I was like, so it's all around me, and I haven't even known it, and everybody, and I'm 40 years old, and people are treating me like I'm like this kid. She's like, that's why I said we're not going, and she was very protective of me, and I lost my shit. I thought I was gonna have an anxiety attack in the middle of this party. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to be around these people that I don't know, that I can't trust, and the only person I can trust is my husband and my friend, you know? And had Heather not had my ass, I would have ended up in the middle of some fucking drug-infested orgy that and I would have lost my shit. I would have been like, how did I get myself in this? What? Like, I'm like very simple. Like, I really am. Like, you know, I get on my main channel and I flip fans and I joke and I talk about this, and I've lived a life. Listen, I've seen some things in the world that people shouldn't see. But by and large, you know, I lived a life when I was using, and I think a lot of those choices and a lot of those behaviors kind of go with using behaviors. But since I've been sober, I'm pretty simple. Like, I want the family unit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, is that... Don't people want that these days? You know, don't want people just want to nest and make a nice place and watch a good movie or read a good book. I don't know. It's weird to me, you know, like. But what happened with it was, at first I got very anxious, and then it turned into anger, and then it was kind of sadness about them and their lives. And so we were talking tonight about some people that still go out, like, all the time, and I was like, it's sad to me, like, what are they searching for, you know? Like, and like I said, like, when I go out now, but, like, when I go out now, it's with a totally different crowd. Like, it's like with Melissa and her husband Jason, and they ain't into that shit, okay? Not at all. I'm telling you right now. You'd walk Melissa's ass up into some sketchy party that they were doing something she didn't like, and she would walk right on out. And she would let them know as she was walking out, too. This is sketchy. I have no business being here. And so the people that, like, I hang out with today, you know, I've changed. I don't know. But I feel like people, like, really kind of kept things from me for a long time of, like, what was really going on behind the scenes, you know? And maybe I didn't need to know as long as I wasn't engaging in it. But then at the same time, I feel like they lied to me. Like, I shared the story on here a while ago that when my ex and I, 2 exes ago, my first ex and I broke up, there was like a 1.5 to 2 year period where I was single, and this really good friend of mine that lived like downtown, he and I went out all the time together, and like I would wake up during the day, that guy just like stared a hole through me. That was really scary, like went really slow and was like this. He looked like the guy from Poltergeist 2. But we would go out on the weekends, and I remember like, I would wake up, my private practice, I hadn't started yet, so I just had my work. And money-wise, I wasn't bad, so, like, I could just kind of, like, work 40 hours and be okay. And I just finished my master's program, and, oh, I know, I was doing, like, state evaluations for the Department of Corrections, so I was doing, like, contractual work on the side. That's where I had some extra money. But anyway, so, like, on weekends, and this was, like, the best shape I've ever been in. Like, I was running every day, like, 5-7 miles every day. I was lifting, like, 4 to 5 days a week. And then I would get up every, you know, morning on the weekends, and, like, I would call my friend, and we would, like, talk on the phone while we were doing the crossword together and drinking coffee. And then we would make plans, and then I would go pick him up, and we would go out. And we had a blast, and we would dance our asses off and stuff like that. And he drank, but that was it. Like, he didn't do anything else. Well, I remember, like, I would pick him up, and then, like, we would go out, and then I would drop him off and go home. And typically I would, like, get food and take food home, like White Castle or McDonald's or something, right? And I would go to bed and whatever. Well, I mean, like, literally, we had been doing this for, like, 6 to 9 months. I mean, it was a long time. And we were out, and somebody said, it was like a Sunday, we were, like, out on a Sunday night, and, like, Saturday, I had, like, dropped him off, and somebody came up to us and said to him, and I can't believe in 6 to 9 months, it never happened before that, they said to him something to the effect of, oh my God, I had so much fun at your after hours party last night. And he didn't really say anything. And then he was like, oh yeah, mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, are you doing it again tonight? Like you did last week, and you had it every, and I was like, girl, what's going on? And he was like, well, what do you mean? And I go, you had an after hours party last night? He goes, I have after hours parties most weekends, Peter. And I was like, you do? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, but you've never invited me to one. And he was like, I know. He was like, girl, there's things that you wouldn't want to deal with there. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, Peter, he was like, you know, people smoking pot, people doing cocaine and stuff. I was like, what? And he was like, yes, girl. He was like, people, you know, smoking pot and doing other stuff and just kind of sitting around and doing other drugs. And I go, girl, what? Like, you do? And he was like, no, not me. And I don't to this day know if he did or not. I mean, whatever. And I like in that moment, I was like so hurt, but like so relieved. But like people have always kind of like, ever since I've been sober, like lied to protect me. Does that make sense? Like I'm some fragile little child that they don't know how it's going to respond to something. So they have to be very careful with how they tell me things. It's very weird. Like, I mean, he could have totally said to me, you know, like, hey, I'm having an after-hours party. If you want to come over, come over. You know, and I mean, he told me some stories. I almost just said one right here. He told me some stories, some sexual stories that went on in places like that. That y'all have seen me on my drama channel, okay? I don't have any problem calling some shit out. I'm telling you right now, standing up in that place, I would have been like, listen here, okay? Y'all are funky, and I want out of here, and I don't care if you're my best Judy. This is some funky shit that's going on right up in the middle here, and everybody watching. This does not need to happen. Y'all need to go to bed early and go to church tomorrow. I mean, like, he told me some stories, and I was like, well, you're right. I wouldn't have wanted to go there. But like my friend Tanya always says, give me the option to say no. You know what I mean? If you care and love me enough, invite me and give me the option to say no. I might surprise you and decide that I want to go, but at least it's my decision to say no. I don't need somebody protecting me and thinking that I can't handle some shit. Therefore, they have to make the decision for me. That's hurtful, you know? And I've had a lot of people like that in my life. And it's a fine line, because it's like, are you thankful or are you hurt? You know, because they're really looking out for you. They just don't know any other way to look out for you. And I get it. I don't know. The more I think about it, sitting here, like, the more it's really happened to me, you know? And so, like, safe spaces and safe people are really important to me, which is why I think I'm attracted to people like Tanya, you know, and Melissa as friends. People that, like, love Roseanne. Oh, my husband was so sweet. Let me tell you what my husband said. So, this is not something my husband would have said to me 5 years ago. I almost started crying yesterday when he texted me this. I may have shared this on here, but I don't think I did yesterday. So my aunt's best friend's name was Carol, okay? I love Carol. Carol and her husband, long time friends. Her husband and my uncle, who's 82, went to college together. So Carol and her husband, if you met them, you'd think they were 60. They are such wonderful people. They were in the room the night that my mom died. They were in the hospital room. And every time my uncle goes to the hospital, every time my aunt went to the hospital, and my uncle goes to the hospital a lot for heart issues, they're there. And so anyway, Carol makes, let's just say her last name is Smith. It's not, let's just say it is. She makes this stuffing for Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter. And it is like the most unbelievable stuffing you have ever had in your entire life. It has like 25 different ingredients that go into it. I don't even know. She wrote down the directions for me. She's like, oh, honey, it's just real simple. You throw it all up in here. It's real easy. I was like, oh, no, this is not simple. She's like, oh, it's so easy. She's like one of the best people, one of the best cooks I've ever known in my entire life. This is going to stop. So I'm going to stop it and start it again so it doesn't go over time. Hold on. Okay, so anyway, my mother loved Carol's, so we wouldn't call it stuffing, we'd call it dressing. They always, I don't know, that was something my grandma did. So, my grandma, so anyway, my grandma, my mom, my aunt, everybody loves Carol's dressing. And they'd be like, oh, Carol Smith's dressing. Who's bringing Carol Smith's dressing? It was always that, because this recipe is, like, famous, right, of Carol's, like, dressing that she just came up with. My mother, Carol, also has a version that's oyster dressing, where you put oysters in it. My mother was obsessed with oyster dressing. Have you ever heard of it? Ugh, gag-a-mag-it. It looked disgusting, but she loved oyster dressing, so did my grandma. You would have thought that my mother and my aunt, who financially did very well for themselves, but came from nothing, okay? Like, you've heard the stories about my grandma being in prison. They came from nothing. My mom went to like 10 different schools in 12 years, okay? And they moved so much because they were so poor. And so was my dad growing up. You would have thought my mom and my aunt literally went to boarding schools, okay? For any holiday, like, every person had a responsibility. I mean, Caroline, my cousin, and I still laugh about this to this day. We each had a responsibility of what we were supposed to bring. But But it was like not just good enough to bring dinner rolls. They had to be dinner rolls from Taylor's Bakery that were like a certain, like the certain ones. I mean, it was like so ridiculous like that. And I always get relish tray, okay? It's like this joke between Caroline and I. Because I said when my aunt died in January, I said, no more relish tray. But like, I always got the relish tray. Well, okay, a relish tray, which I thought was just like that little vegetable tray that sits on the table that nobody ever eats anything off of it, with like little carrots and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's really like an old-fashioned, like, it's stuff that you like pickle your dinner with, like to give it, like to give it flavor. So you have like olives and little pickles and there's very specific things that go in a relish tray, okay? I know, because 2 years ago, I fucked it up. And so Caroline Googled it, and she put together an appropriate relish tray of like what's on there. It's like those hot peppers, it's all, baby, I just threw up any kind of vegetables up there. I put some broccoli, whatever. And my aunt would say, Peter, thank you so much, but this is not a relish tray, this is a vegetable tray. And it wasn't a relish tray. So anyway, Alex texted me yesterday, and he said, hey, I texted Carol, and I asked her if we could come over to her house sometime so she could teach us how to make the dressing. He was like, I think I'm going to start making it a tradition that for every holiday, that's what I bring, because I want to keep your, you know, your aunt's memory alive. And I about lost my shit in the car when I read the text. And I was like, okay, sweetie. That girl blazing up this cigarette. Light them if you got them. Oh, she's a Lyft driver. It says Lyft on the back of that. Gotta love that. So, that made me so happy, though. And then I was in the car talking with Tanya tonight, and I was like, there are so many changes in Alex's family about to occur, and his brother Fufu just moved to San Diego, and he's coming home for Thanksgiving, but like late on Thanksgiving Day, and then he's not coming home for Christmas, and my cousin's not doing Christmas or Thanksgiving, so I don't think we're having Thanksgiving or Christmas, which breaks my heart. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll donate our time to a, don't hold me to that as I say it. I don't know what we'll do. Last year we were planning on going to Puerto Rico for Christmas, if you remember me talking, when that plan never came to fruition, but nobody's got any money to do it this year anyway, so it's hard, you know, like with Alex and I not having any kids, and it's like, my dad and my stepmom typically always do stuff with her family for holidays, and I'm invited. I mean, we're invited, but like we just don't know her family. Like I've never really gotten close with my stepmom's family because she has 2 siblings and she's not very close. She's really close with her mom and she was really close with her dad, but her dad passed away just this year. So like my dad and my stepmom would always do stuff with her dad on like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day because he was like, didn't have anybody. Well, he passed away this year, so I don't know what they're doing for Christmas. And then her mom, she does a lot of stuff with, and she would do like Thanksgiving and Easter with them and like her sister. But like even her and her sister and brother aren't even that close. So, and I don't really know any of them. Like I know them to say hi to, but like even when I went to my stepmom's dad's funeral, like, I didn't even talk to anybody. I just kind of went in. My dad was like, my stepmom lost it, was like, thank you so much for coming. And my dad was like, yeah, it was really nice of you to come for Debbie and stuff, you know, but like, that was it. I don't really know them. I mean, I would feel uncomfortable to go to Thanksgiving doing that, you know, so. Okay, my camera's about to overheat, so I'm going to get off here. Planning for the holidays. It's not even, Halloween isn't even over yet. Here I am worried about Thanksgiving and Christmas. Peter. I love you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I'll talk to you later. Bye.